Hello and welcome. My name's Barbara Payman, and it's a pleasure to be here to talk with you about self-kindness today. I'm sure that we would all agree that we would love the world to be a kinder place, more kindness for humans, for animals, and for the planet. One of Gandhi's most famous quotes is, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And we can all readily think of acts of kindness, I'm sure, that we do for others. And although we could do more, we won't have difficulty thinking of something kind that we've done for others. But how often do we think about kindness for ourselves? For this one, I don't think very often that that's at the forefront of our mind. I know there may be people listening from all over the globe today, but in the UK, I don't know about other cultures, we have an expression. It's, "I'm my own worst enemy." I'm my own worst enemy. Some of you might have used that expression yourselves. Certainly, most of us will have heard somebody else say that. And although for myself, I don't think I've probably voiced that as such and said that to anybody, but it's certainly true. It's certainly true. And that's because, and I would imagine for most, if not all of you there, that's because we're human. It's as simple as that. It's the human condition that we have a negativity bias in our minds. And unfortunately for us, a lot of it's directed towards ourselves. Have you ever heard anybody say, "I'm my own best friend"? I would love to be able to say, "I'm my own best friend." But unfortunately, right now, I couldn't do that, honestly. And my guess is that probably most, if not all of you, couldn't either. Perhaps the Dalai Lama can. For those that you have seen him in whatever way, he's worked through his negative mind patterns to tame them in such a way that his heart, where the natural qualities of love and kindness and empathy and compassion and wisdom reside, they shine through with the Dalai Lama. Anybody that's seen him will know that he sort of exudes this kindness and gentleness and love and compassion. And that's his heart speaking. Meanwhile, back to the rest of us. One of the problems of being human is, I say a problem, but it's something that's evolved with us. It's been with us since we were cavemen and women and children. And of course, there were very real physical threats then. Saber-toothed tigers, mammoths, and the rest. And it was very, very important that we were very alert to danger. And so a very primitive part of our brain called the amygdala houses something called the threat system. Many of you have probably heard of this. It's where we talk about flight, fight, freeze. And it's got a purpose. It's like with the amygdala is a radar system, and it's constantly looking for threat in the environment in order to alert us, in order for us to avoid that threat. When the amygdala feels as if it perceives a threat, it closes down our sort of wise thinking, if you like, in order to be able to focus all the energy into our muscles and into the flight, fight, or freeze mode and escape the danger. So that's very useful if a saber-toothed tiger walks in. The problem is for us now, all these evolutionary years later, is that our brain cannot distinguish between real threat, i.e. a saber-toothed tiger walking into my lounge, or a imagined threat. That is me imagining that there's going to be a saber-toothed tiger walking into my lounge. And so the state of our mental thought patterns can trigger the threat system. So if I start to think disastrous thoughts, I'll trigger my threat system because it's looking out for danger and it can't tell the difference. And many of us will identify with the feelings that then evokes. It releases hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, which help the muscles to run a bit faster, etc., etc. And I'm just going to pause for a moment. So, yes, the physical symptoms, things like nausea, the dreadful feeling we get in our tummy, shaking perhaps, sweating even, just that very horrible feeling we get when we feel unsafe and threatened. And people who experience anxiety, which I think will be most of us, know the discomfort of that. The good news is that we have another system within the body, within being human, and this is called the Soothe and Protect system. And it's sort of in contrast to the threat system. So where the threat system gears us all up, the Soothe and Protect system calms us down. And the good news is that we can help develop that system. And in choosing to meditate and focus on positive ways of looking after ourselves, we start to develop that soothing system more and more. So, how does all this relate to self-kindness? Well, with self-kindness, we're making, if we make the choice to be kinder to ourselves, and it is a choice, we all have that capacity, then the consequences of that will be that we build up our Soothe and Protect system, and that we diminish the times that we evoke the threat system. This will give an overall much better sense of well-being, of happiness, calmness, ability to be resilient in difficult circumstances. And it's also, there's scientific proof around all of this, has effects on our health, improves the immune system, lowers the heart rate, all sorts of things. It's it's a good investment. So Sowing, today we have the opportunity here to create something together where we make a commitment towards being kinder to ourselves. Sowing seeds of self-kindness together. And I just want to put in a little example here, just in relation to this conference, very, very recent, where I went through this process with the threat system. So a couple of evenings ago, before I made this recording, I got an email from Liz and Catherine organising this kind mindness World Kindness Day to say, indicating that they'd like me to present something. Well, I've been helping behind the scenes, and I've been very happy doing that, very happy indeed. But as soon as I read about being a presenter, my threat system was was completely triggered. Tsunami of fear, not feeling safe, not feeling good enough, all those sort of negative mind patterns that we can get into very readily, and you'll have your own versions, I'm sure. So I went to bed with that, not able to really soothe it too much that evening, got up with it the next morning, and went for a walk with my dog. And walking's always a very good activity for me to ground myself again. And by that, I mean to get back into my body and heart and this moment here, rather than letting these mind patterns sweep me away into some disaster that could happen in the future, or something terrible that's happened in the past. As I walked with my dog, it's like, and I had been thinking, how can I look after myself in this moment? It's like my heart's voice was able to find its way through all this fear and come to the surface so that I could hear it. And it said, I want to do this. This is my passion, helping people to have happier lives, to have more fulfilled lives, to fulfill their own potential and feel they're living the life they were born to live, and that will bring them the greatest sense of pleasure and fulfillment, and make their mark on the world in whatever way that is. And so, so in those moments, the self-kindness was able to come to my rescue. And today, I'm going to need to finish in a moment now. Today we have an opportunity here, and my invitation to you is, if like me, you don't want to settle for the position of being your own worst enemy for the rest of your life, if like me, you would much prefer the idea, and I feel quite moved at this, of becoming your own best friend for life, because after all, we're the only ones that are here for us 24/7, forever and ever. We're the only ones that we can guarantee being here for us, should I say. Then if, like me, you don't want to put up with being your own worst enemy and just take that as fait accompli for the rest of your life, if you would like to start becoming a better friend to yourself, which will lead to more happiness, which will lead to a more being able to fulfill what you want to fulfill, like me being here today, then the invitation is that we all sow our seeds of self-kindness together today here. I'm most definitely committed to doing that. And I have this lovely image of us creating a garden together, starting today. And even if you're already got a seedling growing, or even, a young plant, we know that we keep having to come back to our commitments like this because it will take work, it will take effort to remember. And it's something we can wake up with every day from now on. You can choose to wake up in the morning and saying, I'm going to do my very best to be kind to myself today. And that can be acts of kindness, like going to watch the sunrise, which I did this morning, and those are perhaps the easiest things for us to start with, but also it's about learning to work with these negative very strong patterning that we have, programming that we have internally in our minds. And more good news is that there are things to support you doing that, and I would really encourage you to have support in that journey. And the Kind Mind Academy is something that you might like to check out, and whatever else that you feel will support you feeling kind to yourself. But there are programs and learnings that we can take on board, which will give us a toolbox, a beautiful toolbox for bringing about these changes. And I feel like I live by the sea, I'm very lucky, and I see people with their, what are they called, metal detectors, and hunting for treasure. And I think I've had many treasures along the route of my self-development. I'm very committed to my spiritual growth. And however, it feels at the moment that finding this material around self-kindness, self-compassion, and having a toolbox for working at ways to enhance that feels like I've hit gold. And so I'll finish there, and I wish you all very well. And if you choose to sow your seedlings, your seeds, in this garden of soil that we've created for you today, we would be very delighted. And one more thing to add is that self-kindness to ourselves will enable us to give even more out there. It's not selfish. It will enable not only us to be happier, but for us to give more too. Thank you very much for listening.